Here it comes, Zombie unleashed his second form, instantly taking down a swath of espers. Yet just as he was about to let loose and wreak havoc in the execution grounds, Prince Kai and Arya, worried that humanity would be wiped out, rushed to Zombie's side and tried to stop the reckless crowd from throwing themselves into danger. Go also immediately stepped in to hold them back, narrowly averting a tragedy. Meanwhile, after Go defeated the Zombie King Lord, and became the new ruler of this desolate land, an enormous eye suddenly appeared above his head, inviting him to meet the source of the Zombie tide. It turned out that just moments ago, when Violet realized that the beautiful woman before her was Go from the age of divine civilization, her mind seemed to freeze from the shock. Greta, whom Zombie had always teased with nicknames, then unleashed a fierce interrogation on him. Elsewhere, in a grand building, the chairman of the Esper Association, Zole, was delivering a rousing speech from the stage. They had finally captured the six-armed Zombie King, the one who destroyed 3 shelters, displaced countless ordinary people, and killed 17 espers. To give his own son, Zozie, a chance to shine, Zole decided to let him personally carry out the public execution of the Zombie King. Zozie drew the sword at his waist, struck a pose he thought was stylish but was actually painfully awkward, and then slashed at the Zombie King. At first, the crowd cheered enthusiastically, but the next moment, they were left speechless. Zosie's blade left only a scratch on the Zombie King, failing even to cut a single strand of the beast's hair. Oblivious, Zozie chuckled and continued to circle the Zombie King, swinging his blade around as if putting on a show. Watching this cringe-worthy display, Prince Kai and the others were left speechless. The council was always putting on these pointless performances. So many espers were sacrificed, and half of them were just to capture this Zombie King alive, under the pretext of boosting everyone's morale. There's nothing we can do, all our hero squad can do is fight desperately. Those hereditary lords, on the other hand, have far more to consider. Under Zosie's feeble attacks, which might as well have been tickling, the Zombie King felt deeply insulted. Throwing his head back, the Zombie King let out a furious roar, broke free from his restraints in an instant, then lunged at Zozie with all 6 claws aimed at his head. Just as Zozie stood there, dumbfounded, Greta arrived just in time and stepped in front of him. With a thunderous crash, she blocked the Zombie King's attack head-on. The Zombie King, undeterred, swung his fists again. Greta met his blows without flinching. Within the blink of an eye, the two had already traded countless strikes. Then, the Zombie King clenched all 4 fists together, and aimed a devastating overhead blow at Greta. Seeing this, Greta threw her saber aside and immediately activated her ability, telekinetic levitation. Before the Zombie King could even react, its body was already floating in the air. Meanwhile, Greta's saber appeared above the Zombie King's head and shot downward. With a series of swift, slicing sounds, the Zombie King was instantly carved into countless pieces. When the saber returned to Greta's hand, the Zombie King's shattered body fell in pieces at her feet. The execution of the 6-armed Zombie King was complete. The audience erupted in a chorus of excited shouts as they witnessed this scene. Unable to contain her curiosity, Violet asked, "How could such a cool and beautiful girl turn into something like a Go after zombification? What exactly did you do to her?" Go decided on that look herself after being executed by humans. She said she thought it looked cuter. At that moment, Zozie was visibly displeased. "You bunch of useless fools. You can't even secure a cage properly. Now, find me another target for execution." As he spoke, he pointed at Zombie. "You there, Zombie. Now, on behalf of the association, I sentence you to death." Immediately, several subordinates moved to seize the bewildered Zombie. Seeing this, Prince Kai and his companions protested. "All we wanted was for the association to assess Zombie's safety. Besides, he helped us defeat the Zombie King. How could that possibly warrant a death sentence?" Greta also spoke up, saying she had personally examined Zombie. Although he exhibited some odd behavior, he truly wasn't aggressive. But Zozie refused to believe it. He pressed his sword to Zombie's throat. "A zombie who helps humans. If you let me kill you without resistance, then I'll believe you're not a threat." Just then, his father chimed in, "Exactly. If he resists, the safety officer will carry out the execution." Though Greta was clearly displeased, she could do nothing about it. Prince Kai and the others grew anxious. What kind of twisted logic is this? File an appeal. Zombie, hang in there. But before anyone could react, Zozie swung his blade at Zombie. In the blink of an eye, a palm struck his face with a heavy smack, sending him crashing into the ground, limbs flailing in the air. Prince Kai and the others were stunned. Whoa, that was pure reflex, I didn't even realize I'd hit him. But this guy's still alive. How come the Zombie King turned to dust with just a touch from me? Before Zombie could figure out what was happening, a wave of espers charged at him. Instinctively, his body responded, and in an instant, this group of espers were sent flying above the execution grounds. After dealing with all the attackers, Zombie, exhilarated, shifted into his second form. So it's true, he thought. In the memory world, only zombies are instantly destroyed by me. Espers don't fall apart the moment I touch them. Facing the espers as they charged at him again, Zombie couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. Now I can finally let loose and go all out. But just then, Prince Kai and his companions suddenly stepped in front of Zombie. Are you idiots trying to get yourselves killed by Zombie? At the same moment, Greta let out a furious roar, unleashing a wave of pressure that forced the surrounding espers to retreat. Haven't you noticed yet? Even now, Zombie hasn't killed a single person. That alone proves his goodwill. As the association's chief of security, I urged the chairman to reconsider Zombie's sentence. Confronted by Greta's forceful stance, Zolai had no choice but to compromise. He immediately ordered his son to be carried away for treatment. Since the chief of security is willing to vouch for you, Zombie, you'll join Prince Kai's squad. Just as Zombie and Violet were celebrating their successful entry into the team and preparing to head to the academy in search of study materials, a new order suddenly arrived. Prince Kai's squad was to be dispatched north on a mission to subdue the Dead Zone. Upon hearing this, Prince Kai and the others were stunned. That's basically a death sentence for us. Zombie explained to, the source of the Zombie tide in this world lies in the north, where 12 powerful zombie kings known as lords, stand guard. It's a region humans can scarcely set foot in. I didn't expect things to happen ahead of schedule this time. Meanwhile, on the other side, Ago grabbed a zombie king by the throat and flung him away. The mountain peaks along the path were instantly shattered. However, before the zombie king could get back up, a mountain peak came crashing down on him the very next second. With a thunderous boom, the entire peak pinned the mutant zombie king beneath it. Just as Agon was remarking on how Ago's fighting style remained as straightforward and brutal as ever, he suddenly sensed another powerful enemy nearby. A spatial rift opened behind Ago, and a gigantic eye appeared. You have successfully challenged the Lord alone. Now, you are the new Lord of this dead zone. Come with me to meet the origin. The scene shifts back to Zombie. After Zombie and Violet joined the hero's squad, they were immediately dispatched by the Esper Association to the fortress on the border of the Dead Zone. To the north of the fortress lies the Zombie World, a forbidden land where humans dare not tread, known as the Dead Zone. The Esper Association had launched several campaigns against the Dead Zone, but each ended in heavy casualties and defeat. At that moment, outside the fortress, Greta swung his sword and used his abilities against the zombies below, instantly enveloping them all. As Greta clenched his fist, the ground immediately compressed towards the zombies. Amidst the thunderous rumbling, most of the zombies were quickly encased. After finishing, Greta nonchalantly sheathed her sword, and a massive sphere appeared beneath her. Witnessing this, the espers erupted into cheers. As expected of the association, the security officer is truly formidable. However, at that moment, the prophet grew concerned. Such a powerful strike still failed to clear out the zombies in this area. It seems that even the most ordinary zombies in the Dead Zone are much stronger than those outside. Then wouldn't the Zombie King be even more terrifying? Everyone, prepare yourselves mentally. Hearing this, Gonling raised her will, indicating she had already written it in advance. Just then, Greta approached them and said, "My ability has a range of 30 kilometers. I will be stationed here during this period and will fully support you within my capacity." Upon hearing this, Prince Kai and the others were so moved that they broke into tears, asking for a hug. At that moment, however, Zozi said playfully, "The order my father gave you was to escort, oh wait, I mean guard, them as they enter the Dead Zone. Honestly, everything you're doing is pointless. They'll be eaten by zombies soon enough, there won't even be a trace left." After saying this, he made a provocative face at the group. Seeing this, Arya and the others were instantly enraged, and went up to greet Zozi in their own way. "You know we're going to our deaths, yet you still dare to provoke us. How brave." Seeing this, Greta also turned around, pretending not to have seen anything, but reminded them, "Please leave him alive, otherwise, I won't be able to explain to the association when I return. Some time later, Zosie was beaten to a pulp, carried away on a stretcher, and once again disappeared from the group's sight in this manner. Yet at this time, Prince Kai could not bring himself to be happy. I'm sorry, it was my decision to bring Zombie to the association, and now I've gotten everyone into trouble. Don't think like that, this has nothing to do with Zombie. Even without him, the association would have found another reason to send us to the dead zone. That's right. In fact, all the teams that successfully defeated zombie kings in succession have, without exception, been assigned by the association to enter the dead zone. Rumor has it that the upper echelons of the association are afraid that heroes with both prestige and strength might emerge and threaten their rule. Prince Kai knew what they said was true, but he refused to accept his fate. If we enter the dead zone and eliminate the source of the zombie tide, everything will be solved. As long as I am strong enough, I can definitely do it. Meanwhile, Zombie arrived at the dead zone fortress with Violet. Boss, I'll buy this house. As he spoke, he handed the full payment to a nervous bald man. After Violet explained that Zombie was a human wearing a mask, the boss finally dared to accept the money and started counting. The money is correct. The house is yours now. No sooner had the boss finished speaking than Zombie picked up the entire house, foundation and all. Not long after, in the fortress's commercial district, Zombie suddenly descended from the sky carrying the newly bought house, startling those below. There are not only hot springs nearby, but also all kinds of snacks. We can live more comfortably from now on. Violet caught up, asking in confusion, "You're not really planning to settle down here, are you?" For a major mission like this, it takes a lot of time to gather intelligence and prepare supplies. Back then, we stayed here for 3 months, not only working as street cleaners to gather intel, taking on missing cat cases, but even working as security guards. Those were truly painful yet fulfilling days of toil. As he spoke, Zombie pulled Violet to the dining table. "This is a textbook I got from the association. You also need a comfortable environment to study well. Don't worry, I've been drinking Red Bull and coffee every day recently, I should wake up soon." With that, Zombie jumped down, ready to buy groceries to make omelette rice. From behind came Violet's reminder. "Zombie, we've been eating eggs for a week. Can we change it up? Whoever cooks decides what we eat." However, just as Zombie landed, he suddenly sensed a dangerous aura. Instantly, he switched to his third form, sidestepping Prince Kai's attack. As Prince Kai saw Zombie change forms in an instant, his face was full of shock. Looking helpless, Zombie said, "How troublesome. Do you not want omelette rice either?" Prince Kai didn't answer. Upon landing, his body turned into several afterimages. Changing forms to boost your combat power. Try this on for size. As he spoke, he kicked at Zombie, but in the next second, Zombie casually broke his attack. Prince Kai quickly put some distance between them. "As expected, you're very strong. Let's go again." With that, Prince Kai braced his hands on the ground, then with a boom, launched himself at Zombie again. Zombie simply jumped up, easily dodging the attack. "If you don't want omelette rice, how about fried rice? This is a residential area, so go easy on your attacks." Yet Prince Kai didn't let up, increasing his speed and launching another kick at Zombie, who dodged again. "Even at my maximum speed, I can't hurt you. Zombie, you are truly terrifyingly strong. So, I have a request. I hope you'll agree." Seeing his expression, Zombie mistakenly thought Prince Kai wanted to spar seriously. Back then, it was only after an exhilarating fight with Prince Kai that he truly gained his recognition. So that's how it is. In the next instant, Zombie switched to his fifth form. "Then let's have a good, intense fight." As he spoke, he grabbed Prince Kai by the chin. "Let's move somewhere private first." As Prince Kai looked on in shock, the next second, Zombie took him to the outskirts of the fortress. Before Prince Kai could react, Zombie threw a punch at him. "Prince Kai, now I'm going to get serious." Seeing this, Prince Kai was utterly stunned and quickly said, "I wasn't looking for a spar. I just wanted to confirm your strength and ask how I can become stronger." Upon hearing this, Zombie quickly redirected his punch, instantly pulverizing the mountain behind him. Prince Kai, having narrowly escaped, felt his heart pounding wildly. At this moment, Zombie returned to his naive form, scratching his head. "So you just wanted to ask how to become stronger?" Before awakening his thought deity, Prince Kai was the strongest Esper, rivaling even top zombie kings like Varmint, and incredibly proud. Why would he seek my advice now? Could it be that my presence in this memory prevented him from gaining the growth and experience he should have had? With this in mind, Zombie patted Prince Kai's shoulder and said, "Leave it to me. I've got nothing better to do anyway, so I'll help you make up for the experience you missed." As he spoke, he pointed to a distant mountain. "See that zombie over there? Go defeat it, and you'll naturally become stronger." There stood a zombie wearing a Batman mask. He was none other than the Devouring Moon Zombie King, one of the 12 Zombie King Lords who guarded the Dead Zone. Seeing this, Prince Kai's heart tightened. He couldn't understand why a Dead Zone Lord would appear so close to the fortress. Meanwhile, on the other side, Violet was teaching herself how to master mental powers in the hot spring below Zombie's house. She sat on the sofa, sipping milk tea while reading the book Zombie had prepared for her. However, she couldn't understand the contents at all. Different mental fluctuations generate different psychic abilities, and you can also train and observe them using water waves. "I don't get it at all, just swinging a sword is much simpler." Although she said so, she still decided to give it a try according to her own understanding. She removed the mechanical device from her leg and walked toward the pool. "This feels great. I haven't been this relaxed since coming to this world. Zombie really did find a good place for me to train." As she spoke, she started trying the method in the manual, using mental power to vibrate the water's surface. But the water remained calm, showing no response at all. After several failed attempts and concentrating with all her effort, ripples finally appeared on the water's surface, and droplets began to slowly rise into the air. Just as Violet thought she had succeeded and excitedly declared she really did have psychic talent, a hand suddenly landed on hers. It turned out that Arya had somehow slipped in as well. "You're celebrating a bit too soon. That's actually my mental ripple." At the same time, Ling, wrapped in a bath towel, let out a shriek from behind. Only then did Violet realize the two had entered without her noticing. Ling picked up 2 books from the table and saying, "Aren't these the textbooks the association gives to newbies? Why are you reading this?" Upon hearing this, Arya looked at Violet. "So all your impressive feats along the way weren't even using psychic power?" As she spoke, she drew closer. "You actually deceived us, so suspicious. Do you have some plot for getting close to us? Come on, fess up." Faced with this, Violet hurriedly explained she didn't have much psychic talent. "That's why." Before she could finish, Ling interrupted her. "How could you have no talent? After spending so much time with you, we can all sense that your psychic power is incredibly strong, Sister Violet." At that moment, Ling suddenly noticed Violet's leg. "Sister Violet, what's wrong with your leg?" "This is my prosthetic limb. I took the outer shell off for bathing." Under their questioning, Violet recounted her experience of her parents turning into zombies, biting her leg, and how she had to cut off both her own legs. After hearing her story, Arya and Ling were utterly shocked. Violet, however, calmly reassured them. "No need for those expressions. Fighting zombies is unavoidable, and besides, I've gotten used to it after all this time." Hearing this, Arya let out a sigh of relief, then raised her hand to demonstrate to Violet. To master psychic abilities, you need 2 things: mental power and also imagination and self-acceptance. Psychic abilities are, at their core, about imagining a stronger version of yourself to affect the outside world. So, Violet, may I ask you, why does your heart reject the idea of becoming stronger? Upon hearing this, Violet fell into deep thought. Am I the one rejecting a stronger version of myself? I've always failed to control zombies' genes. Could it be because my heart can't accept being that kind of person? At that moment, Arya suddenly noticed something, and shouted in a certain direction. "There's someone over there." As soon as she finished speaking, the steam in the room began to condense into ice, and the entire pool rapidly froze, the ice quickly approaching them. With a boom, the whole hot spring was instantly transformed into a giant block of crystal ice. When the dust settled, a burst of flame appeared where Violet and the others were. At the critical moment, Arya activated her psychic ability, Flame Armor. "Be careful, everyone. This zombie can use elemental powers. The pressure is even greater than an ordinary zombie king." As soon as she finished speaking, the ice crystal began to crack, and soon a female zombie king emerged from within, one of the 12 great lords. The Frost Demon Zombie King. "Impressive reflexes, but that will only make your suffering worse," the Frost Demon Zombie King sneered. Hearing this, Violet drew her sword and charged forward without hesitation. "Enough nonsense, go to hell." Yet the Frost Demon Zombie King was unfazed. Such amusing resistance. I hope you can entertain me. With that, and a loud boom, a massive ice crystal erupted from the ground beneath Violet and the others. Meanwhile, outside the fortress walls, another zombie king was slaughtering human espers. That frost zombie is making too much noise. I really hate uncontrollable kindred. With all this chaos, what's the point of me sneaking in early to kill reconnaissance-type espers? With that, he resumed his slaughter. Seeing this, the heavily injured prophet hurriedly hid. Such powerful force, and I didn't sense anything before the attack. Is this the power of the legendary Dead Zone Lords? At this moment, his perception told him that not only were 3 powerful zombie king lords present near the fortress, but there was also a massive zombie horde. Suddenly, the zombie king outside the wall launched an attack on the fortress wall. With a boom, a huge breach was blasted open, and thousands of zombies had already gathered below. What is the devouring moon up to? Hurry up and unleash the zombie tide, let's destroy this annoying fortress. Meanwhile, the devouring moon zombie king let out an angry roar, but the next second, Zombie struck him on the head with a piece of wood, knocking him to the ground. Zombie instantly flashed behind him, locking his throat with his arm and holding him firmly. I told you not to move. If I accidentally touch you the wrong way, you'll be finished in an instant, understand? Prince Kai, I've got him restrained, come over and keep beating him. At this, Prince Kai was speechless. What kind of training is this supposed to be? But Zombie thought Prince Kai was just scared, and said, defeating powerful enemies is an even faster way to get stronger than doing push-ups. How about this? If you still think it's dangerous, I'll try breaking his arms and legs one at a time, then you fight him. When you get a bit stronger, his limbs will have healed, and we can raise the difficulty gradually. If that's not enough, I'll break them a few more times. Hearing this, the devouring moon zombie king went berserk, breaking free from Zombie's hold. Cursed humans! How dare you treat a lord like this? In that case, I have no choice but to use my ultimate move. Seeing this, Prince Kai grew nervous, thinking the zombie king was about to go all out. But to his surprise, the next second, the zombie king simply lay down on the ground. Zombie and the others were completely stunned by this. Isn't rolling over something dogs do? What's this guy up to? Please stop hitting me. I'll tell you everything you want to know. Afterwards, Zombie and the others learned from the devouring moon zombie king that he was here because the source had gathered all the lords together to launch an attack on humanity. Upon hearing that all the lords had been mobilized to attack the fortress, Prince Kai was shocked. Zombie also recalled that this did indeed happen, but it was supposed to be many years later. So, when Prince Kai pressed for the reason, the devouring moon zombie king finally revealed the truth. The source said that a consciousness that should not exist has entered this world. That's why we were ordered to attack at all costs, to search for someone named Zombie. Hearing this, Prince Kai looked at Zombie in shock, while Zombie himself was completely baffled. How am I involved in all of this? Meanwhile, at the breached section of the city wall, the fortress found itself in crisis. A massive horde of zombies poured into the fortress, beginning a massacre of the human inhabitants. In an instant, panic swept through the people inside, and the entire city descended into chaos, filled with the wails and cries for help of its residents. At that moment, a little girl accidentally fell. Seeing the zombies lunging at her with bared fangs and claws, she thought she was doomed, and shut her eyes in terror. But in the next instant, everything around her suddenly fell silent. When she opened her eyes again, she saw that the zombies and even the rubble were floating upward into the air. It turned out that, at this critical moment, Security Officer Greta had arrived and used her psychic ability, telekinetic levitation, to lift all the zombies into the air. With a sudden clench of both hands, the floating rubble and zombies instantly converged in a single direction. This attack, reminiscent of a planetary devastation, was in fact another of her psychic abilities, the Shattered Star Map. Just as Greta thought he had dealt with all the zombies, she was suddenly startled to see the floating debris instantly sliced in two. The zombie king who had split open the city wall earlier now appeared before her. Humans really are a nuisance. The mission was nearly finished, why did you have to show up now? With that, the zombie king launched an attack on Greta without warning. Seeing this, Greta drew his sword and swung it fiercely, instantly enveloping the area in a field of energy. The zombie king's attack was halted midair, and no matter how much force he exerted, he could not move. As the zombie king looked on, stunned, Greta slowly raised his left hand. It's not over yet. Take a look around you first. At that moment, Countless blades and weapons were circling above the zombie king's head. "You're the one who broke the city wall, aren't you? Bastard, then let your death atone for those who have perished." With that, Greta clenched her palm, activating her third psychic ability, Void Blade. The blade circling above the zombie king instantly sliced his body into countless pieces. Yet even this was not enough to kill him. Thick smoke began to billow from his wounds, and with a loud bang, his body burst apart, revealing his true form. Greta was immediately startled. This foe was actually one of the 12 most formidable lords, the Shadow Blade Zombie King. "Your psychic abilities are truly annoying. Let me cut you to pieces." Greta intended to restrain the Shadow Blade Zombie King with her shattered star map, but to her shock, the smoke instantly turned into blades, and in the blink of an eye, they destroyed the shattered star map. Even the buildings below were not spared. As the Shadow Blade Zombie King continued his relentless destruction, Greta could only retreat, widening the distance between them. Even so, she still suffered an injury to her arm. Upon seeing the wound, she was alarmed to discover not only had she been infected by zombie poison, but it was also spreading rapidly. Upon seeing Greta wounded by the Shadow Blade Zombie King, the Espers began to panic. "She's a dead zone lord confirmed by the association years ago, and he's extremely difficult to deal with. I can't believe the Shadow Blade Zombie King isn't dead, and he's appeared together with several other zombie kings. A massive zombie horde led by zombie kings, there's no way we can win this. Run." Seeing this, Greta quickly urged everyone to remain calm, assuring them he was fine and would hold back the Shadow Blade Zombie King. She instructed the association's Espers to support the fortress garrison and stabilize the defensive line. But at that moment, Zozie gave the order. "The fortress is finished. Everyone, protect me and get me out first." Relying on his father being the association president, he chose to flee at this critical juncture and even issued a full withdrawal order. Hearing repeated withdrawal orders from the radio, Greta was so furious that veins popped out on his forehead. She wished he could kill that bastard right then and there. But at that moment, the Shadow Blade Zombie King attacked again. "Damn it, even if I'm the only one left, I will never retreat." With that, she unleashed her full power and swung her sword, once again immobilizing the Shadow Blade Zombie King. Yet just as she was preparing to strike again and finish off the Shadow Blade Zombie King, the zombie poison suddenly flared up, and with a thud, she dropped to her knees. The Shadow Blade Zombie King was overjoyed at the sight. "My toxin will dissolve your muscles and nerves. Soon you'll lose all mobility. And using your powers will only make the poison spread faster." At that moment, Greta's heart was pounding violently, and the toxin had already spread to her cheeks. Her psychic abilities were rapidly weakening, and she was barely able to restrain the Shadow Blade Zombie King, yet she continued pouring out his power. Seeing this, the Shadow Blade Zombie King said with a sigh, "If you've still got the strength, just run away, it's fine. I hate trouble." The source said as long as enough people are killed, we'll find the one who likes to mix with humans. So my mission is just to kill everyone in the fortress. There's no need for you to waste your time with me here. Listening to the cries for help rising all around, images of humans being slaughtered flashed through Greta's mind. Am I going to die? In the end, can't I protect everyone in the city? It feels like someone is still calling for me to keep fighting. They still need my protection. Watching the Shadow Blade Zombie King slowly approach, Greta, filled with unwillingness, suddenly erupted with psychic power, forcing the Zombie King back several dozen meters in an instant. "I'm a security officer protecting humanity, how could I fall here?" Seeing this, the Shadow Blade Zombie King was shocked. Corroded to this extent, and yet still able to move. This woman is truly troublesome. Yet after another burst of psychic power, the toxin spread further. With her muscles liquefied, Greta collapsed on the ground, vomiting blood. Seeing her hand gradually turning zombie-like, she grabbed her own neck, using pain to focus her mind and regain control of her body. With a squelching sound, a fountain of blood sprayed from her back like a pair of bloody wings. Then, picking up her sword from the ground, she twisted her body and slowly stood up. At this moment, she was driven by a single conviction: to eliminate all the zombies that had invaded the fortress. Witnessing this, the Shadow Blade Zombie King roared and charged at Greta. "Why are you standing up? Why must you stand in my way? Why are you making more work for me? I hate overtime the most. If you want to die so badly, I'll grant your wish." At the same time, Greta unleashed a tremendous psychic power, and the two charged at each other. With a thunderous crash, they began a fierce battle in the streets. With a 360-degree spin, Greta sliced off the Shadow Blade Zombie King's jaw with a swift motion, but in the blink of an eye, he reattached it and scoffed. An attack of this level is useless against me. Hearing this, Greta unleashed the Void Blade, and in an instant, a mass of ferocious energy hovered above the Shadow Blade Zombie King's head. But the Zombie King ignored the incoming blades, and lunged at Greta with his jaws wide open. However, at that moment, Greta grinned. The next second, a skyscraper suddenly fell from the sky, crashing into the Shadow Blade Zombie King. With a loud bang, the Zombie King was smashed deep into the ground. Just as Greta thought this blow would finish off the Shadow Blade Zombie King, the building was instantly shattered by a slash. While Greta was still in shock, the Zombie King burst out from below. "You really fight like a madman, but that just makes me interested. Let's have a serious fight." Hearing this, Greta charged at the Zombie King with his sword. But just as they were about to collide, a green light rapidly approached from afar. The Shadow Blade Zombie King thought it was another of Greta's abilities, while Greta thought it was the Zombie King's reinforcements. But it was actually Zombie, racing at high speed, carrying Prince Kai and the subdued Devouring Moon Zombie King. "Hold on tight, we're about to land." As soon as he finished speaking, with a loud crash, Zombie smashed through the city wall and crashed headlong into the Shadow Blade Zombie King. Seeing this, Greta was momentarily stunned, then snapped back to her senses. "Zombie, Prince Kai, and who's that you've got with you?" Seeing it was Ago, Zombie tossed Prince Kai and the others aside, and ran over to inspect her from all sides. "Looks like the zombie tide came early. Ago, you got infected with zombie poison. Are you having your fated duel with the Shadow Blade Zombie King to defend the fortress? I remember you fought brilliantly in that battle, but where is the Zombie King now? I don't see him around." At this, Greta was speechless. "I don't really understand what you're talking about, but you just stomped the Shadow Blade Zombie King to pieces." As she spoke, she pointed to the remains of the Zombie King. While Zombie stared in surprise at the dissipating remains of the Zombie King, Greta pointed at the wall Zombie had destroyed. "No need for fortress guards now, your damage to the wall is much worse than what the Zombie Kings did." Seeing this, Zombie hurriedly apologized over and over. "Sorry, I didn't mean to.